Hello everyone, this is part 2 of What If Naruto fused with the Kyuubi, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Tsunade slowly walked through the woods, with 4 Anbu escorting her. But she knew others were nearby. She had personally seen to that. Flashback. Tsunade stood in front of the 4 teams of shinobi. Jiraiya stood to her right. Kakashi, Guy, Kurenai, and Asuma stood at the ready, their teams behind them. Auto FN, Asuma is still alive, as is Jiraiya. Neither went on the missions that ked them, because of Naruto's disappearance, and the Fox Knight's appearance. I have received a letter from the mysterious Fox Knight. He wishes to speak to me. This is our one opportunity to capture him, and either stop him, or rein him in. You all will surround the perimeter, and ensure that he does not escape. Understand? As one, the ninjas present nodded their heads. Tsunade sighed. I want no harm done to him, unless there is no alternative. Sakura, you know what you need to do. Sakura nodded, and gently patted her weapons pouch. I understand. Tsunade sighed. This man is extremely dangerous. If he should decide to fight, then use all your force to stop him. Flashback ends. Tsunade slowly approached the clearing. The Anbu stopped at the edge of the clearing. Tsunade slowly entered it, and looked around. It was the time, date, and place. But there was no one there. Hello. Is the Fox Knight here? I am Tsunade Senju, God I'm Hokage of Konoha. I know who you are. A deep, growling voice echoed from the woods. Suddenly, the cloaked figure of the Fox Knight seemed to grow from the ground. Tsunade stepped back, amazed that he had gotten so close without being detected. The cloaked figure bowed. Tsunade tried to see his face as he raised his head. But the shadow of his hood hid his eyes, and the face mask covered his chin to his nose. She shook her head. Why do you wear that hood and mask? It must be extremely hot. Why not remove it? I prefer to keep my identity a secret. I hope you understand. Tsunade sighed as she nodded. Very well. So, let's talk. Indeed. The Fox Knight performed a few hand signs. The Anbu hopped out of the woods, only to see 2 chairs of earth form from the ground. The Fox Knight looked at them. I see you decided to bring backup. Do you believe me to be a threat? Tsunade sighed. It was necessary, because of my position. Please, do not mind them. The Fox Knight nodded. What about the other ninjas around us? Do they mean me harm? Tsunade's eyes widened. What? I've spent nearly 4 months in these woods, training my senses and abilities. There are 4 ninjas to the north, 3 to the west, 4 to the east, and another 4 to south. Then, there is your 4 Anbu, and a dozen other ninja to the far south, waiting as reinforcements. And that's only what I'm sensing while looking for chakra. Tsunade sighed. Very well. Both of them sat down, and Tsunade got straight to business. We need to talk about your actions. While they have been beneficial to Konoha, it has caused serious problems with those whose ninjas you have ked. If your actions continue, you could cause the 4th Shinobi War, and Konoha may suffer greatly. The Fox Knight sighed, and looked down. No matter what I do, I fail those I have sworn to protect. I am a failure, no matter what. As Tsunade looked at him questioningly, he looked up at the sky, and spoke sadly. I just wanted to help. I just wanted to have a purpose. But, everything I do hurts those I want to protect. Slowly, he stood to his feet, and sighed. I'll turn myself in. Just promise me one thing. I want to walk back into my hometown, and look at it with my own eyes. Tsunade looked him over, as the other ninjas approached. Sakura came up next to the Fox Knight. Tsunade sighed, and gently nodded. I will accept your surrender. But I can't let you come back conscious. This is to ensure that you don't escape. Sakura suddenly plunged a syringe into the Fox Knight's arm. He glanced down at it, then up at Sakura. She gasped, and backed away. The Fox Knight turned to Tsunade, and she saw his eyes. They weren't the red that she had expected. Instead, they were a vivid blue. Slowly, he spoke in a voice she hadn't heard in 4 months. Bar-chan, I should have known better. he whispered, his eyes full of pain and hurt. Then, those eyes closed, and he slowly fell to the ground. As he did, his hood fell back. Tsunade rushed to his side, and gasped at the sight of the long, spiky blonde hair, and the two golden fox ears. Shaking, she slowly removed the mask, revealing the whisker marks, and the face of Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto, she whispered. It was you, all along. She looked up at the Anbu. Get him home, but cover his head. I want him in the security room of the Hokage Tower. Move. They nodded, and one moved the hood and face mask back into position. Another tied him up, and all four picked him up. Tsunade turned to the others, who were in various states of shock. Sakura was pale, Kakashi's eye followed the Anbu carrying Naruto. With Team Kurenai, a certain opal-eyed girl had stood there, stock still. Then, she fainted, barely being caught by Kiba. Tsunade approached the security room of the Hokage's tower, where high-level political prisoners were kept. It had a chakra-suppressing seal on the ground, as well as chains that were made to withstand even Tsunade's extreme strength. She nodded at the four Anbu outside the steel door, and one opened it for her. She slowly entered the room, and the door was closed behind her. Naruto's cloak, face mask, claw gauntlets, and sword had been removed, as had the 20 kunai, 45 shurikens, and 10 explosive notes he had been carrying. Without the cloak and mask, Tsunade could see that Naruto had undergone some changes. His ears had changed into two gold-furred ears. A gold-furred tail came out of the seat of his pants. Naruto now wore a grey t-shirt, with his famous red swirl on it. He wore black pants and boots. His pants had been modified, so that he could get them on over his tail, and let it hang freely. Auto FN, can't think of a way to describe it, so bear with me. He slowly looked up, his ears twitching. As his eyes met hers, she cringed. Once, those blue eyes were filled with laughter, and determination. Now, they were cool, and revealed nothing. Well, to what do I owe the honor of being visited by the Hokage? Tsunade sighed. I'm here to try and find out what happened to you. Why you disappeared. Why you didn't come back. Why the special treatment? Shouldn't Ibiki-san, or Anko-sama be doing this? Naruto gave her an icy version of his smile. Naruto, please, don't make this harder than it has to be. Naruto's smile disappeared. Hard. Yeah, what do you know about hard? Tsunade looked at him, her anger slowly rising. I know plenty about life being hard. Yeah, right. You lost your little brother, and your love. Then you ran off, got drunk, and lost tons of money doing what you love to do. That's real hard, being able to do what you want, without having any responsibilities. Naruto watched her with eyes colder than any had ever seen. Look at me. Look at what has happened to me. I've spent 12 years of my life being yelled at, beaten almost to death, being ignored, and having no one. I had to teach myself everything that kids learn from their parents. Then, after I get out of the academy, and learn about my roommate, I spent a few months, happy to have people who I thought cared about me. It turns out that the man I treated like a brother betrayed me, and tried to kill me. The girl who I devoted my life to treated me like dirt, and beat me on a regular basis. My sensei tossed me aside to teach that team everything. My so-called friends laughed at me, insulted me, and beat me down on a regular basis. The village I have defended with my life, and that I have saved more times than I can remember, they treat me like I am nothing. And that stupid pervert, in all the time we were training, I thought I was becoming stronger. But when I come back, I find out I'm weaker than Ino. All he did was give some stupid training routine, and then go off and peek at girls. He lowered his head, his eyes starting to leak tears. Out of a village of thousands, there are only 5 people I can count on. 5. Iruka has treated me like a son, ever since he truly realized what my life has been like. Rock Lee views me as someone to keep him going, a worthy rival. Tuki and Ayami, the people who own the ramen stand. Even though they knew about Kyuubi, they treated me like family, and never turned me away. And Hinata Hyuga has always been there for me. She's never stopped being there for me. He raised his head, and stared at Tsunade. His face was filled with both pain, and anger. I'm going to lose them now. I'm going to have nothing again. Because I'm a monster. Because I am a Hanyu. Nobody wants a demon around. Naruto. Tsunade said softly. What did I do? What did I do to deserve all this? What did I do? He screamed at the ceiling, before he lowered his head again. When he raised it, his eyes were icy again. Just go. Sign your orders, and have me imprisoned, or executed. I don't care anymore. Tsunade looked at him for several minutes. Gone was that eager boy, who had told her he would be Hokage, who filled her life with laughter, even as he insulted her, and she would punch him. The man in front of her believed his life was pointless, that nobody wanted him. She turned away, and exited the room. The Anbu locked the door, as Tsunade slowly walked up to her office. She sat in her chair, as she slowly realized the truth. Naruto was right. Even she had treated him with indifference, when he was the one responsible for bringing her back. All she had done was place him on boring assignments, and berated him on his lack of success in most missions. She had always thought of him like a little brother, but had she ever shown him that? She started to cry, as the sad truth sunk into her mind. He was the greatest hero this village could ever ask for. And in return, he had been treated crueler than any criminal ever could be. Shizune knocked on the door, and Tsunade immediately cleared her eyes. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Is everything all right? Why yes, everything is fine, Tsunade said, as she looked away from Shizune. When she turned around, Tsunade's eyes were filled with a sudden fire of purpose. Shizune, I need you to do something for me. Yes, I want you to go and get me everything on the Namikaze family, and Kushina Uzumaki. Then, I want you to take a team of shinobi, and clean up Minato and Kushina's old home. Make sure everything is ready. I think it is time this village understood who exactly they have been abusing all these years. Shizune nodded, and left. Tsunade looked down at her paperwork, and starting attacking it with a vengeance. Suddenly, there was another knock on the door. Who is it? She snapped, not really feeling like talking to anyone else. The door hesitantly opened to reveal Hinata Hyuga. Oh, Hinata. Sorry about that. It's alright, Hokage-sama. She entered the room, and closed the door, before approaching Tsunade's desk. Hokage-sama. I was wondering, what are you planning to do to Naruto-kun? Tsunade looked at her for a moment. I honestly don't know. I want to just let him go, and have things back to the way they were. But the elders will probably want his head, and Danzu will want him as a weapon. And with the way he is right now, he would probably join Danzu, and Anbu route. Hinata gave her a look of surprise. Is something wrong with him? Tsunade sighed. He's like a completely different person. He doesn't care if he lives or s. I really don't know what to do. The blonde Sanin looked at the Hyuga heiress. Maybe you should talk to him. I think he could use your company right now. And out of everyone in the village, I think you could understand him the best right now, and know exactly what to say. Hinata blushed, but nodded. Tsunade gave her an authorization form, allowing Hinata to see Naruto. Hinata quickly headed down to the security room, and showed her form to the Anbu. They were hesitant at first, but followed orders, and opened the door. Naruto looked up, expecting to see an interrogator, or one of the elders, or Danzu. But when he saw Hinata, his eyes widened. As she entered, Naruto immediately lowered his head. Hinata, what are you doing here? Hinata hung back, hesitant to approach. She felt her old nervousness about being near Naruto come over her. Naruto noticed her hanging back, and misunderstood her actions. It's all right. I know that I'm a monster. You don't need to come near me, he said, trying his best to hold back his tears. Hinata gasped, as she realized what Naruto must have thought. She felt horrible, seeing him like this. She moved forward, taking small steps, but not faltering. She knelt by Naruto, and slowly raised his head, blushing as she touched his chin. Naruto looked up in amazement at Hinata, as she gently pulled his head up. She was blushing like crazy, but she seemed determined to speak. Naruto-kun, how could I think the man who saved me was a monster? I couldn't be human if I did. Hinata, look at me. How can you say I'm not a monster? I'm not human. I'm a Hanyu now. He flicked his tail out to show her. She looked down at it, then at his ears, then back at his eyes. Maybe that is your physical appearance. But what are you on the inside? Do you wish to kill me? As Naruto shook his head, Hinata continued. When you killed those men, all those traitors and enemies, did you enjoy it, or did you do it because you felt it was necessary? As Naruto just looked at her, she continued. What about that man? That Junin who was going to T Kurenai sensei. He looked like a man, but he behaved like a monster. You may look like one, but inside, you are still who you are. Naruto looked down. Hi Hinata. Why are you so nice to me? Why do you care so much? Hinata blushed even more, her whole face now red. But she kept going, fighting the urge to poke her fingers together, and to not answer. Because you are my inspiration. Whenever I felt like I couldn't do anything, you were always there, to help me. Whenever I felt like giving up, I thought about how you never backed down. I wanted to become strong, so I could thank you. But when you left, I felt that if I wasn't so weak, I could have helped you. But I can't help anyone, because I'm weak. Naruto's head snapped up. Who says you're weak? Look at you. You're so strong, stronger than anyone I know. Hinata looked at him in amazement, as he went on. Even though Neji tried to KO you forgave him, and treated him with more respect than he deserved. Even though others would stay as far away from me as possible, you had the courage to treat me with kindness and friendship. Even now, when others would think me a demon, you are here, still offering friendship to me. You have the strength to forgive others, no matter what. You have courage to do what you feel is right. That makes you stronger than anyone, especially me. Hinata slowly began to cry, as she saw the old Naruto beginning to flash in his eyes. Naruto-kun, do you believe you are a monster now? Would a monster say things like that? Naruto looked at this young woman, who had never turned her back on him, never thought ill of him. She had given him friendship, hope, inspiration. She gave everything he ever needed to him. And no, she was here, trying to show him that he was still human. Why is she willing to do so much for me? And then it clicked. It had taken him about 8 years, for it all to click. Hinata-chan. Do you like me? Hinata suddenly looked up, her face a red never before seen. It was taking all her willpower not to faint. She just looked, unable to do anything because she might faint. But Naruto saw the truth in her eyes. It was more than like. Hinata-chan, you love me. Hinata, barely able to keep her consciousness, slowly nodded, before falling over. Naruto's tail flicked out, and cushioned her head as she fell. He just looked at her. She loves me. But I don't know what love is. But as he looked at her, he began to notice her. He had seen her before. She was pretty, but was always so quiet, and shy. He had never really given her any thought outside that of friendship. But now, he saw that she was just as beautiful, if not even more so than Sakura ever was. And she was so kind, so sweet. Naruto felt something filling him. It was a feeling, like what he had felt for Sakura. But this was more. It was 100 times more. Is this love? I don't know. He just stared at Hinata, as his tail slowly moved out from behind her head, and slowly stroked her head. She smiled softly, and then hugged his tail, and snuggled against it. He smiled, a small happy smile, the first he had worn in a long time. Suddenly the door was thrust opened, and Hiashi stood there, his eyes blazing in anger. Hinata was awakened by the noise, and looked at the door. Her eyes widened in fear. Hiashi strolled forward, and suddenly struck her aside. He stood before Naruto. You stay away from her, you demon SC. Then he punched Naruto in the stomach. Naruto bowed over, coughing up blood. Hinata looked at her father in fear, as he turned to her. You dare to even be near this SC. You are a shame to the Hyuga line. I'm going to take you back to estate, and have the caged bird seal put on you. He reached out to grab her, only to have his hand stopped. He couldn't move at all. Behind him, he could feel a massive surge of chakra, as the seal shattered beneath him. The 4 Anbu outside the door cowered, as they felt the smothering chakra. Suddenly, Hiashi felt himself being yanked around, and brought before the now freed prisoner. He suddenly was looking into blood-red eyes. The pupils were black crosses, which had rotated to become 2 X's. You dare hurt someone so innocent, pure, and kind. Your soul is tainted by a lust for power, and you ignore that which is truly important. Now, tell me all your secrets. Hiashi felt his mind being probed, read like an open book. All his secrets, his plans, all of it was laid bare before this man. Finally, he was released, and he fell to the ground. Naruto's pupils had become crosses again. Your secrets have been revealed to me. You never had any intention of making Hinata heiress. Once you had a reason to, you would have put her in the branch family. Hinata, he has no love, or respect for you. He has kept you downtrodden, because he fears what you can do to the clan, if you become heir. Hinata looked at her father, who was quivering on the floor. Slowly, she stood up, and approached Naruto, whose eyes had returned to normal. She was amazed to see the seal on the ground was cracked, and the chains had been melted by the force of chakra Naruto had unleashed. Suddenly, the four Anbu outside the door rushed in, having recovered from feeling the surge of chakra. They had drawn weapons, ready to fight. Hinata moved in front of Naruto, to block them. Lady Hinata, please step aside. We must restrain him. Hinata shook her head. He was protecting me. I won't let you hurt him. Naruto slowly moved past her, as the Anbu tightened the grips on their weapons. Hinata-chan, don't. I don't want you getting into trouble over me. Tsunade rushed in, and pushed her way past the guards. What happened here? She yelled, as she saw Naruto freed from his bonds, and Hiashi slowly rising off the floor. That SC. He attacked me. I came here to retrieve my daughter, and he used the demonic chakra to break loose, and attack me. He's brainwashed my daughter. Liar. You came here to drag your daughter away, and put her in the branch family of the Hyuga clan. You came in here, struck her, then punched me while I was still chained up. Then when you threatened Hinata-chan, I broke loose, and learned the secrets of your mind. You don't want her to be the head of your clan, because you know she will bond main and branch families together, and get rid of the bird seal. Tsunade looked from one to the other. Then she noticed the welt rising on Hinata's cheek. She slowly nodded, then turned to Naruto. How do you know all that? It's my eyes. When Kyuubi and me unwillingly merged, he didn't just heighten my senses. He gave me a special gift to use. I can read a person's mind, no matter how well guarded it may be. It's how I sniffed out traitors and learned enemy secrets. Tsunade looked at him in surprise. She stared at the shattered seal, the melted chains, the way Naruto stood protectively in front of Hinata, and came to a conclusion. My office. We need to have a talk. 6 of the Anbu Black Ops stood against the wall of Tsunade's office, in case Naruto tried anything. But the only thing he seemed concerned about doing, was keeping Hiashi away from Hinata. He sat in between them, which caused Hiashi to scoot his chair away from him. Tsunade sat down behind her desk, and looked over them. She leaned her elbows on the desk, and rested her head on the entwined fingers of her hands. Before we discuss what happened down there, I think it is time we understood exactly what happened to you, Naruto. So please, tell us what happened. Why did you disappear? Naruto sighed, before beginning. Well, I guess where I need to start is with the mission we went on to meet Sasori's spy. You remember that, don't you? Tsunade nodded. After Sakura and the elder of Suna, Chio, had defeated the Akatsuki puppet master, he had told them he was meeting a spy he had in Orochimaru's network. They had met with Spy, discovered it was Kabuto, only to find themselves in an ambush meant for Sasori. In the end, they had found Orochimaru's nearby lair, and Danzu's attempt to ally himself with Orochimaru. Unfortunately, since they had no hard proof, they couldn't arrest him on charges of treason. Naruto continued. Well, Kyuubi wanted out, to fight against Sasuke. But I wouldn't let him. While I was distracted, Sasuke used his Sharingan to enter my mind, and he somehow dispelled the Kyuubi. Whatever he did, it triggered something. He reached down to touch his seal over under his shirt. It triggered Kyuubi's chakra in a way, that it automatically began to merge our DNA. I didn't know about it, until a week later. That was when my chakra, and Kyuubi's, started acting up. I felt these chakra pulses, and like my insides were melting. I figured I should get out of the village, in case something happened. That's why I left. He looked down, the memories floating over him. It wasn't pleasant. Flashback. Naruto grabbed his stomach, as the pain continued to wash over him. He clawed at his clothes, and the ground, trying to get rid of the pain washing over him, as he rolled around on the ground. His headband fell off, as 2 golden fox ears pushed it off his head. The seat of his pants fell, as a bushy golden fox tail came out. Just as suddenly, the pain stopped. Naruto lay on the ground, panting. Eventually, he raised his head, and saw his headband. He reached out for it, and just as he was about to grab it, he caught his reflection in it. He stopped, as he saw the fox ears on his head. He gently touched them, then, he reached behind him, feeling the strange extension of his body. He widened, and pulled the fox tail around to look at it. No, 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 no. What has happened to me? In fear, and anger, he started to scream, and rage. He went on a rampage through the clearing, destroying trees and bushes. Finally, he dropped in exhaustion. Kyuubi, what did you do to me? Nothing, you stupid mortal. I did nothing. It was that stupid Uchiha. Naruto shuddered, as tears formed in his eyes, his mind focusing on one thing. I'm a monster. I can't go home. I can't go home like this. No one would want me. Naruto stumbled to his feet, and ran. Flashback ends. I ran away after that. I figured that no one would want me around anymore, and so I just ran. Eventually, I found myself near a small village at the border. I approached a hut at the outskirts, and fell asleep nearby. I was discovered by the old man who lived there. He looked off into space. Hinata gently squeezed his arm, much to Hiyashi's anger. Naruto smiled at her, before continuing. I thought he was going to kill me. Instead, he brought me into the hut, and cared for me. When I asked him why, he told me that he knew the difference between a demon, and a Jinchuriki. He told me that since I was obviously not an evil Jinchuriki, bent on destroying others, he would help me. Tsunade nodded. Who was he? I'm not sure. He just called himself Kage Yaiba, an ex-ninja from the extinct Azugako no Sato. He taught me a few things about kenjutsu, tracking, and a few other types of weapon-styled fighting. He gave me my cloak, and the weapons I call my fox claw gauntlets, then helped me forge my katana. Once that was done, he helped me create my own style of kenjutsu, known as katana no kitsune bibu. The blade of the fox tail. Quote. Naruto smiled slightly. The Kyuubi complained and threatened me for a while, during my training. Eventually, when he realized that he was never getting out, and never going to be able to take me over, he decided to at least make sure he lived for a while, by making sure I was as strong as possible. So, he told me exactly what I can do now that I was a Hanyu. After that, he became silent. I haven't heard from him since, but I know he is still there. Naruto slowly stood up. The merger made me stronger, and faster. My senses have been increased, to the level of a fox. I also gained Kyuubi's knowledge, which mostly covered all the jutsus of the people he has faced against. Lastly, I gained his own unique ability, the Kitsunegan, or fox eyes. They allow me to read a person's mind, and as I recently discovered, I can even begin to destroy a person's mind. He noticed the sudden glint in Tsunade's eyes. It's not a Kekai Genkai, or something that can be taught. It is only available to me, because I have Kyuubi in me. Even any kids I have will not receive this ability. Naruto activated his eyes, and looked at one of the Anbu. That man secretly writes poetry, when no one is around. The Anbu started, as the others shook as they silently suppressed their laughter. Tsunade did laugh, but then sighed in disappointment at the lack of duplicating this ability, and sat back. Well, that's a shame. Keep going. Naruto nodded. During my training, me and Kage stumbled upon some Iwa ninjas, meeting with the Chunin Yajirobe. We overheard their conversation, and I realized that Yajirobe was a spy. Me and Kage followed the Iwa ninjas after that, and said them, so they couldn't report what they had been told. Then, I took care of Yajirobe, as I'm sure you remember. As Tsunade nodded, Naruto sat back down. It was then that I came up with a new purpose for myself. I knew I would never be able to be Hokage, or even a ninja, in Konoha. So, I decided to serve the village by protecting it from the outside, while dealing with traitors and enemy spies that I discovered on the inside. Tsunade nodded. Well, then it seems you have been doing the village a great service. But he is a rogue ninja. He should have been killed as soon as he was captured. And he attacked me in the security room. Hiyashi screamed, as he rose to his feet. Tsunade looked at him, cold anger all over her face. I would not be telling me my job if I were you, Hiyashi. It would seem to me by Naruto's demonstration, that his story of what happened down there is the more plausible of the two. Especially since he has the backing of an eyewitness, while you only have your own word. And if Naruto's accusation of your intentions is true, then your word does not mean much. You dare insult me. I am Hiashi Hyuga, head of the most powerful ninja clan in Konoha. Naruto snorted at this. Once, maybe. But Kyuubi remembers fighting the Hyugas in the old days. Even the weakest of them would put you to shame. Hiashi snarled, and struck at Naruto. Naruto moved his head to one side, and grabbed Hiashi's wrist. I wouldn't if I was you. I could break the bones in your wrist, until they were nothing but dust. He applied a little pressure, and Hiashi fell to his knees in pain. Naruto, while I wouldn't mind his arrogance taken down a few notches, it would only worsen your situation. Tsunade said. Naruto hesitated in complying, only to be stopped by a gentle hand on his. Hinata gently squeezed his hand, and whispered, "He's not worth it, Naruto-kun." Naruto turned, to see Hinata blushing, but staring steadfastly at Naruto. He released Hashi's wrist, and sat back down, with Hinata keeping her hand on his. Tsunade sighed. Naruto, as it stands, you are an S-ranked missing nin. But there are some mitigating circumstances. The fact that you have been aiding Konoha is one. But the others are these. She held up a massive folder, and a much thinner one. These are the reports on the Namikaze family, who were among our strongest ninjas in the day, but not numerous enough to be a clan. I'm sure you know about Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. Naruto nodded. He knew all about the fourth. He had been his role model. When he had learned about the truth that the Yondaime had sealed Kyuubi in him, he had been furious. But then, as he thought it over, he realized that the Yondaime had no choice, and accepted the fact. Tsunade sighed. Well, Minato, before he became Hokage, went on a mission to Izu. There, he met a female Junin, named Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto and Hinata stiffened, as they recognized the last name. Hiashi, who was cradling his wrist, looked up in astonishment. Tsunade nodded at their reactions. The two worked together, and by the time the mission was over, they had fallen in love. Kushina came back to Konoha, and married Minato. A few years later, Izu was wiped out by Iwa. That was part of the reason that Minato was especially vicious in combat towards Iwa ninjas. After the war, Kushina was pregnant, with their first child. Naruto was leaning forward, all his attention directed at Tsunade. Hinata was gripping his arm. Hiashi's eyes were narrowed. On October 10th, about 16 years ago, Kushina went into labor. That night, Kyuubi attacked Konoha. Minato stayed with his wife, as complications arose. She gave birth, but of blood loss. Minato, racked in grief, went with the newborn child, and faced the Kyuubi. He used the Shiki Fuoijin Jutsu to stop the Kyuubi, and then used the Haka no Fuan Shiki sealing Jutsu to seal the Kyuubi inside his newborn son. Auto FN, that's right. Minato Namikaze used two separate jutsus to take care of Kyuubi. Dude had a lot of strength to be able to pull both of them off. By the way, the first one was the Reaper Death Seal, used by Sarutobi against Orochimaru. The second is the 8 Divination Seal on Naruto's gut. Naruto jumped up, his seat falling back. His eyes were wide, as he just stared at Tsunade. Hinata sat there, unable to move from shock. Hiashi glanced at Naruto, trying to comprehend what he had just heard. My father. The Yondaime, was my dad. Tsunade nodded softly. Naruto looked down, at where the seal was under his shirt. He gently touched that area of his shirt. My dad, he did this to me. Naruto just kept looking at his stomach for several minutes. Hinata slowly looked up at him, afraid that he might burst out in anger, or something. Then Naruto looked up. I understand. My dad wouldn't not be willing to ask that which he was not willing to do himself. Even if he had used another child, I still would have been left alone, and could have grown up to be like that team, Sasuke Uchiha. He gently sat back down, much to Hinata's and Tsunade's relief. Well, since you are Minato Namikaze's son, you are officially the heir of the Namikaze family, and all their capabilities. As such, you are entitled, and should have received equal standing to Sasuke Uchiha, after his clan was MD. Since you are the last of a clan or well-respected family, there will be a council meeting to discuss your fate. Until then, you will be allowed to live in the home your parents lived in, but under supervision. Are we clear? Naruto nodded, while Hiashi just looked away in disgust. Hinata happily took Naruto's hand, and squeezed it. Tsunade sighed, and sat back. Now, about what you told me involving Hinata. That is Hyuga clan business, and does not concern the Hokage. Hiashi proclaimed, his arrogance returning. Tsunade turned to look at him, her eyes once again cold with anger. Hiashi, it involves one of the ninjas under my command. I think it does concern me. The Hokage will not interfere with a clan's traditions and concerns, unless it interferes with the workings of the village. That is one of the laws put down by the Shodaime himself, when he founded Konoha. Hiashi smiled smugly. Tsunade sighed in defeat, but Naruto's eyes suddenly widened. He leaned over, and whispered into Hinata's ear. Hiashi turned to them in anger. Get away from her. You may be Minato's son, but that doesn't give you the right to be so familiar with my daughter. Naruto turned and bowed his head. You are right, Hiashi-san. Please forgive my impudence. Good. Now come Hinata. We have some ceremonies to perform. Hiashi turned, only to be stopped by the small voice behind him. No. He whirled around, to see Hinata standing, her face defiant. He slowly approached her, his face full of anger. What did you say? Hinata looked up at him. I said no. I will give up my position as heiress of the clan. But I refuse to be placed in the branch family, when I have done nothing to deserve it. So, what will you do then? If you will not go through with this, then you must leave the Hyuga clan. Will you give up your name, and live in the streets? Give up the power, protection, and wealth that the Hyuga clan offers. Hinata stood tall, and managed to say without stuttering, I would gladly give all that up. Living in the Hyuga clan is not worth all that it offers. She stared at her father, who looked at her in amazement. From this day forth, I will be Hyuga no longer. Naruto opened the door to what would have been his home, had Kyuubi not attacked. He had left the Hokage's office with the key to it, all the information on his parents that he had access to as their son, all his possessions, and a guest. After she had forsaken the Hyuga name, Hinata had gathered her possessions from her old home, and had left her old home forever. Naruto, being the person he was, offered to let her stay at his new home as long as she wanted, or until his fate was decided. Hinata looked around the comfy-looking apartment. It was so warm, and inviting. Pictures and paintings lined the walls. There was a small dining table, with cushions around it. Near that was the entrance to the kitchen. On the opposite wall was a small hallway, which had 3 doors. Naruto went over to them, while Hinata set her stuff on the floor, and stood there. She didn't want to disturb anything yet. Naruto opened the first door, on his left. It revealed a full bathroom, with a shower-out-off tub. Naruto nodded, and turned to the door opposite. The room behind it was a good-sized bedroom, with pale green walls. There was a bed, a dresser, and a closest. Naruto turned to the last door, but hesitated. He took a deep breath, and opened the door. Inside was his parents' bedroom. A king-sized bed stood against the center of the far wall. Pictures dotted the bedside table of a smiling blonde man, who stood with a smiling red-haired woman. Some of them had them hugging, others holding each other. Naruto stopped at one in particular. It showed his dad, Minato, hugging a pregnant Kushina from behind. This may be the only picture of all 3 of us. Naruto thought sadly. He wiped away a tear, and moved on. He opened the closet, and was surprised to find the hangers empty. Then he noticed the recently packed boxes on the ground. One had a note on it. Naruto, these are all your parents' clothes. We thought you might need the closet space, but would want these clothes to remember them by. Shizune. Naruto nodded, and closed the closet. He turned to the door next to the closet, and discovered a smaller bathroom, but one that still had a shower. Naruto sighed, as he looked around his parents' room. This would have been my home, if it wasn't for the Kyuubi. He left the room, and returned to Hinata, who was still standing there. You didn't have to stay standing, Hinata-chan. You could have sat down. She nodded, and sat down on the couch. Naruto sat down next to her. There's a room you can have there. The bathroom's opposite it. Hinata nodded again, blushing. We're sitting down together. I'm sitting on Naruto's couch. Finally, Hinata cleared her tea. Naruto-kun. I in the security room, at the Hokage's tower. Did you ask me if I liked you? Naruto nodded. I did. But when you didn't answer, I saw the truth in your eyes. You more than like me, don't you, Hinata-chan? She nodded, her blush increasing. Her secret was out. What would Naruto do? She looked up at him, to see him looking at the wall. Hinata-chan. I really care about you. I think you are an incredible person. But, I don't know if I love you. She sighed, and looked down. I understand. I know that you couldn't want someone like me. I'm not pretty or confident like Sakura is. That's not it at all. Hinata-chan, it's not that I don't love you. It's just that I don't know what love really is. Hinata looked up, as Naruto moved closer, and took her hand. Hinata-chan, I really like you. Maybe I do love you, and don't know it. What I am asking is this. Let's get to really know each other, hang out, maybe even go on a few dates. Would that be okay? Hinata smiled, and nodded, as some tears began to fall. She hugged Naruto, whispering, I understand. And I promise to help you understand what love is, and help you with whatever girl you love. I hope it is me. Naruto smiled, and hugged her back, earning a eep from her. Thank you, Hinata-chan. You are always there for me, when I need you. I really hope that what I feel for you is love, because I want you to be happy. The two of them just stayed like that, even as the sun began to set in the distance. Along the earth out off a border, a few hundred ninjas were gathering. They were a mixture of Iwa and Kumo shinobi. Both the Tsuchikage, and the Reikage, had formed a secret force, to eradicate the troublesome Fox Knight, and Konoha. The ninjas sat around, eating, and talking with each other. Their sentries watched the surrounding area with alert eyes. But they failed to see the figure hiding in the trees, as it slipped away, and headed to the southeast. The figure moved slowly, so as not to attract attention. Once he was a safe distance, he picked up speed, heading for Konoha. Naruto, looks like we have a whole mess of trouble. Kushina, your son is quite the handful. The figure spoke to the heavens, before disappearing into the woods. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.